Hi everybody, this is Shad with churchplanners.com, here with my friend Alan Hirsch. Many of you are very familiar with his writings and things like that, but we're backstage right now at the Velocity Conference 2011, and we've just been having some conversations back and forth with a few of our keynote speakers, and of course Mr. Hirsch has taken the time to spend some time with us.
Mr. Hirsch, huh?
You like that, by the way? I thought with the accent, it kind of adds to how intelligent that you sound. So, and I thought that we would take a moment and share. I've seen you speak a few times, and one of the things that I've really admired in seeing you speak is when you share with your wife, and it's obvious for those of us that are kind of out in the audience watching this happen, at the amount of chemistry that you have in your relationship and how much you honor her role in what you guys do together. So I was wondering if we could take just a moment and you share from your heart to church planners at the importance of the marriage and the relationship and even women's roles in ministry.
Yeah, well, I mean, Debs and myself go back a long way in terms of our ministry. I've always seen that she plays as significant a role as anything in our ministry together. She is a very strong, very capable woman, and my best friend. And I think for me, it's very, very hard to see myself as being where I am now, whatever I'm doing, without having Debs as a major part of who I am and who God made me to be. And she's played a major role in that. So
sure.
I'm very, very grateful for my wife and my partner in every way.
That's great. While we were talking a little bit earlier, we were even talking about a lot of times what you see in the context of conferences and how it's easy to, and not to breach too deep into the topic, but it's easy to kind of identify the men that play the roles, maybe the pastor of the church, and even for the wives. And this is one thing here at Velocity that I appreciate. Like Sean Lovejoy, the founder, there's a moment that his wife is sharing with pastors' wives about the role that the wife plays in a pastor's life, and even beyond that, maybe you could even share from your heart on what that looks like in the bigger scheme, kind of in the church broth.
Well, I have a theory that most men marry up. I mean, it's not true in every case, but I would say 90% of cases.
It's certainly true in my case.
I guess we take a kind of pick around here, and most people would agree that we feel that we've married up, and I think. Which means to say that probably women are superior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you kind of just average it out, I mean,
right.
you just say that women really add a lot to the equation. And I can't imagine that you can do ministry. I can't imagine that you can be effective if in ministering to the world, which is at least comprised of men and women, wherever we go, by just within a male's perspective. Most of us guys don't understand women that well.
Right.
And therefore, ministry as it does in any church comprises at least 50-50, probably more women at times. And so, I think it's just absolutely critical to have their perspective, just from a functional perspective. But I think for more than that, I think the complementarity in the image of God, that God has intended us to be partners. I think ministry is a partnership, as is marriage, as is life, and that we're much better together. There's a great synergy when we can find with our spouse, that kind of sense of connectivity around common function. And again, I'm very grateful for Debs and what she's taught me. I would say that Debs has taught me more about God than anyone else.
Sure, absolutely.
In different ways, both intellectually, but also just as being a remarkable person.
Sure.
And so again, I feel that I carry so much of her in me in that sense.
Right.
And I would say that we do need to see ministry from a partnership position. We just chatted a little bit beforehand about, I go to these conferences, I look at and there's nothing particularly about Velocity, it's just generalized. If you look at the website, it's all men.
Yeah.
And, I have spent my life studying, at least trying to study and understand the nature of movements that really change the world. And it's amazing how most of the leaders, however you might understand those complementarian, egalitarian texts, I think it's a false dichotomy myself, but because I think it's much more nuanced than that. But be it as it may, however you might understand it, and I believe in headship, and so does Deb, it's clear that God uses women at least equal, if not more, to men. In fact, the church in China, for instance, is 65% of the leaders are women. This is even more so in India, which is exploding at the moment. God doesn't seem to have the hassles that we have with this issue. And I think we can, we often operate from, hemiplegic kind of perspective. If you're hemiplegic, it means that one side of your body is not operating. You can only use one half. And I think until we actually see ourselves as the people of God, not just the men of God, right. We will never become the church that Jesus designed us to be.
I was speaking actually with Sean King, who is speaking in a breakout session here at Velocity, and one of the things he mentioned that I found very interesting is he talks to a lot of church planters that maybe say, I'm ready to plant this church, but my wife's not on board with it. I'm just going to move forward anyway. And Sean had even mentioned a timing in his life where when he was ready, his wife wasn't. So he knew that it was important to kind of pace that. I wonder if maybe just in some closing thoughts, maybe you could close in this as a lot of potential church planters are watching this video and people that will be planting at some point, in understanding the importance of that timing. Because as you said, when you're married, you're one. And the importance of operating in a balance that's complementary to your family as well. So maybe just some outgoing thoughts with that.
Yeah, just maybe a short circuit kind of way to actually address the problem is that when I was, in more pastoral kind of ministry, people would approach us to say, "Will you marry us?" We'd always do it together, so it was both Debs and myself, and so we used to say to them, "Yeah, we'll marry you if you can answer 3 questions, right? Deal? Deal, okay?" And there've got to be 3 questions in this order. And we'd say, "Who am I?" Number 1, identity, a sense of who we are. Secondly, where am I going? Sense of direction, and the one comes out of the other, so your sense of direction comes out of who you are. This is good biblical kind of stuff. And only then can you answer the question, who will go with me? Because you can only select a partner once you've understood the first 2.
Absolutely.
And usually it's a very disconcerting set of questions for people. I would argue you can apply this to any form of directional activity in your life. You do it out of a sense of who you are, and out of a sense of together who you are, you then choose your direction. Your direction naturally flows out of that, and then you make your kind of choices. And I would say that it's critical to listen to our partners. They're the ones they're stakeholders in the outcome. Secondly, they're the ones that probably will tell us the truth no one else will.
Sure.
They're not yes people. They could be, but I guess they're not really.
Normally not, that's right.
Normally our wives and our spouses will be probably be the people that are most likely to kind of tell us the hard truth that we need to know. So we need to be very attentive to that and trust that if God has brought them into our lives as marriage partners, then they've got a significant part to play in our own sense of destiny and who we are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And for those of you viewing, if I could recommend everything that Alan, you've written has just been an incredible wealth of knowledge. It's been very helpful for me. I'm rereading Untamed right now. Just a lot of great information there, I think, that speaks to our hearts.
And I wrote Untamed with Deborah, right?
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
she participated as much in that book as anything.
Man, that's great. So go check, especially Untamed, check it out. I know you can find it on Amazon, a lot of places like that. And Alan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and looking forward to your session here. God bless you guys. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.